How can a company that's been around for over 130 years still act like a brand new startup? Well, that's the beautiful, fascinating paradox of Nintendo. We're going to unpack the incredible story of a company that has mastered the art of starting over.
You see, to really understand Nintendo, you don't start with a microchip or a circuit board. You start right here, with a simple deck of playing cards from way back in the 1800s. And the question is, what could these possibly have to do with Mario, Zelda, or the Nintendo Switch? And the answer, which is just wild, is everything. This is where it all began. This is the start of a story about constant, radical reinvention. So let's go back. I mean, way, way back. Before there were pixels, before processors, let's see how a humble card maker actually laid the foundation for a global gaming empire.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1889. Nintendo gets its start making these beautiful, intricate playing cards called Hanafuda. And for like 70 years, that was pretty much it. But by the 1960s, the company was trying to figure out its future, and things got kind of weird. They started a taxi service, a food company that sold instant rice, and even, get this, a chain of love hotels. Yep, for real. And when most of those ventures failed, spectacularly, they had to pivot again. And they finally landed on the idea that would change everything: toys.
Now, the guy steering the ship through all this chaos was the founder's great-grandson, Hiroshi Yamauchi. He was this tough, visionary leader, and he established the core belief that still drives Nintendo today. Great entertainment isn't about having the most expensive, cutting-edge tech. It's about giving people new and surprising ways to have fun. And this whole idea was perfectly summed up by their legendary engineer, Gunpei Yokoi. He called it lateral thinking with withered technology. It sounds complicated, but it's a genius idea. Don't chase after pricey, brand new parts. Instead, take older, cheaper, withered technology and find a brilliant new use for it. Think about the Game Boy. It didn't have a powerful screen, but because that screen was simple and cheap, the device was affordable, the battery lasted forever, and it was just so much fun. This became Nintendo's secret weapon. And boy, were they gonna need that secret weapon. Because in North America, the entire video game industry was about to completely implode. Just look at this number. The market went from over $3 billion to almost zero in just 2 years. Why? A flood of terrible, broken games, like the infamous E.T. game for the Atari, had totally destroyed people's trust. All the experts agreed video games were just a fad, and that fad was officially over. So, into this total wasteland walks Nintendo with a 3-part rescue plan. First, they slapped that official Nintendo seal of quality on their games. It was a simple promise: this game won't be garbage. Second, they had super strict rules for other companies making games for their system: no more junk. And third, and this is the most important part, they created characters we'd fall in love with, like Mario and Link. With the Nintendo Entertainment System, they didn't just enter a market, they literally brought it back from the dead. But after saving the entire industry, Nintendo suddenly faced a totally new kind of problem: a head-to-head fight for dominance against a very powerful new rival.
In the mid-90s, Sony crashed the party with the PlayStation. And this right here, it just perfectly lays out the completely different philosophies. Sony was all about raw power and new tech, using CD-ROMs for these huge cinematic 3D graphics. Nintendo's strategy with the N64? Gameplay innovation. They gave us the analog stick and the rumble pack, which totally changed how we control games. So what happened? Well, Sony sold more consoles, for sure, but Nintendo literally created the blueprint for every single controller we still use today.
And a huge part of this era was shaped by the philosophy of Shigeru Miyamoto. You know, the creative genius behind Mario and Zelda. He was obsessed with quality, and this quote says it all. He believed it was better to delay a game and make it perfect than to rush it out and have it be mediocre forever. It's all about making something great, not just making something fast. And that's really the big lesson here, right? Nintendo might have lost the console war on sales, but they won something more important. They solidified their own identity. They learned they didn't have to be the most powerful console on the block, they just had to be the most fun. And that realization would change everything. And that lesson, it would lead to maybe their most brilliant, most audacious move ever. They decided that instead of fighting their rivals, they'd just stop playing the same game altogether. So in the business world, they have this term for it: a blue ocean strategy.
The red ocean is bloody, it's full of sharks, that's the competition, all fighting over the same fish. A blue ocean is when you create a brand new, uncontested market all for yourself. You just sail off into empty waters. For Nintendo, that blue ocean was called the Wii and the DS.
And wow, just look at this chart to see how well it worked. While Microsoft and Sony were locked in this epic battle for core gamers, the Wii's simple motion controls brought in a tidal wave of people who had never played video games before. Suddenly, your mom was playing tennis in the living room. Your grandparents were bowling at their retirement community. That was Nintendo's Blue Ocean.
The result was an absolute sales juggernaut. Over 101 million consoles sold. By focusing on fun over graphics and making games for everyone, Nintendo achieved one of its greatest victories ever.
But here's the thing about the entertainment business. You're only as good as your last hit. And after the soaring, incredible success of the Wii, Nintendo was about to come crashing back down to earth. The Wii's successor, the Wii U, oh man, the Wii U was a flop. The marketing was a total mess. People were so confused. Was it a new console? Was it just a weird tablet accessory for the old Wii? The name was clumsy, and it just completely failed to capture anyone's imagination. It really felt like Nintendo had lost its magic touch.
And just look at this chart. The tiny little bar, that's the Wii U's lifetime sales. And this giant skyscraper of the bar next to it, that's the Switch. It's outsold its predecessor more than 10 times over. This isn't just a success story. It's one of the greatest comebacks in the history of business.
So how did they do it? What was the secret sauce? Well, it all started with a crystal clear concept. One console you can play on your big TV or take with you anywhere. They combined that brilliant idea with marketing that actually made sense, a killer launch game with Breath of the Wild, and then just a relentless stream of amazing games. It was the ultimate fusion of everything Nintendo had ever learned. And you really can't tell this part of the story without honoring the late, great Satoru Iwata. As president, he led the company through the Wii's success, and he laid the groundwork for the Switch before his tragic passing. This quote just perfectly embodies the spirit he created at Nintendo, a company run not by suits, but by people who just absolutely love to play.
You know, when you step back and look at the whole picture, from those Hanafuda cards all the way to the Switch, you realize Nintendo's story isn't really about technology. It's about an incredible 130-year-old quest to find new ways to have fun, and the resilience to pick yourself up after every failure and try something new again. From playing cards to motion controls, from arcades to handhelds, Nintendo has managed to survive for over a century by constantly changing the very definition of what it means to play. And after all this time, they've proven one thing beyond a doubt. They are absolute masters of reinvention. Which, of course, leaves us with one big, exciting question. What will they redefine next?